So if you're struggling with a weak and skinny upper body whilst you're trying to lose the belly fat and build that lean body, you need to make your workouts much more efficient. And in today's video, we're going to go through a full upper body push workout to help you build that lean body whilst you lose the body fat. And this is going to be 45 minutes, short, sharp, and impactful, so you don't have to waste hours and hours in the gym. Because so many men make that mistake of training 5, 6, 7 days a week, just going through the motions, rather than actually trying to get the most bang for their buck within the gym. I literally train 3 days a week, 45 minutes each session to build that lean body. And this is exactly what I do with our members inside our Metabolic Mastery method. Because the guys we work with are busy professionals, executives, business owners, high performers who are limited on time. So in today's push workout, we're gonna go through chest, shoulders, and triceps, no fluff, cutting out the BS, so you can just go into that session, crush it, and get the results. So let's get into it. So the first movement is going to be a standing cable chest fly to really work that chest through the shortened range. Now, the mistake that I see a lot with this movement is where a lot of people bend at the elbow, they do this sort of crabbing motion where it's more wrists and hands rather than actually working the chest. Now, you could do a seated pec fly, a seated chest fly as well. I like the cables. You could also do this seated with the cables, any form of chest fly to start this push workout. Now, in your mind, you really want to be thinking about trying to drive your biceps together, your elbows together, not your wrists and hands. Because as soon as you start thinking about wrists and hands, you start going into that crabbing motion. Shoulders come forwards. You take all of the tension away from that chest. So focus right at the top of this movement, straight arms, biceps and elbows together, really squeeze and hold before going into that slow eccentric. And you can bend the elbows a little bit back here in that stretch position, but as you drive forwards, just focus on really engaging that chest, working it in the shortened range, elbows and biceps together. So the second exercise we're going to go into is an incline dumbbell chest press. Now, you could do incline barbell chest press, you could do an incline Smith press, but an incline variation. I like the dumbbell because of the range of motion that we can get out of this, and you're not kind of stuck in that fixed position, but this is going to work the upper fibers of the chest. So with the incline dumbbell press, you don't want to flare out the elbows in this position here. It's going to put a lot of strain on your shoulders. So just tuck the elbows a little bit, which you have the ability to do with the dumbbells, and you want to press overhead like so. Don't clang the dumbbells at the top together because that knocks the tension off the chest. So keep the elbows tucked, slow on that way down before pressing overhead. So with the chest fly, you want to do 3 sets. The first 2 sets we want to do are going to be between 8 and 12 reps. And then the third set, which we're going to use as our back off set, is going to be between 12 and 14 reps. A slightly higher rep range for that third set, slightly lighter weight as our back off set, then 2 heavier top sets. With the incline dumbbell press, 2 sets, 8 to 10 reps, and that third and final set for the incline dumbbell press is going to be 10 to 12 reps. Now we're going to move into the first shoulder exercise here, which is going to be our cable lateral raise, an absolute favorite of mine. I'm a firm believer when it comes to building kind of like bolder shoulders and that kind of rounded, sculpted shoulder look. It doesn't have to be so much overhead pressing. We are going to do that. We're going to do 2 sets on that in a moment. But the cable lateral raise or any dumbbell lateral raise variation is going to really help build that kind of bolder shoulder look because it's going to target this part of the shoulder here. So with the lateral raise, a lot of people make the mistake of putting the cable far too low, when in fact, you want the cable to be around about knee height. Now, it's not a movement that you can go very, very heavy on. So we're just going to adjust the weight. So we're pulling from knee height. You want to brace against the actual stack itself. Take a little bit of a step away from the cable stack, and you want to raise not directly out to our side here, slight angle here. It's more of like a Y raise in a way. With the cable coming out in front, we don't want the hand to go above shoulder height, and we don't want to be sort of externally rotating like this. Keep that hand in this kind of position here, where the knuckles are facing the sky, and you want to raise out like so. Slow and controlled in that eccentric, tension because of the cables applied to that lateral head of the shoulder throughout the entire movement, and raise like so. Slow and controlled all the way through. Not a movement that you can go very, very heavy on to really isolate in that part of the shoulder. So with this movement, we're going to do 3 sets. First 2 sets are going to be 12 to 14 reps. Third and final set is going to be 14 to 16 reps. Isolation movement, slightly higher rep ranges. Now you can also do a lateral raise with dumbbells if you don't have access to the cables, but the same things apply. Slight lean forwards on that torso, driving out on that Y angle here, not directly out to our side, not flapping like a duck. Keep those arms nice and fixed, slight bend at the elbow, drive out like so. Nice and controlled. Again, you don't want to go very, very heavy on this. We're isolating the shoulder, form, accuracy, tempo, control, very important with this movement. So we're gonna give our shoulders a little bit of breathing space now. We're gonna go straight into one of our tricep movements before we head into that shoulder overhead press. So with this tricep movement, we're gonna do single arm tricep extensions. So you wanna raise the cable to the top. You wanna take off any kind of attachment, any handle. You don't really need that. Again, we're not gonna go too heavy on this movement. It's isolating the tricep. You don't have to go heavy. It's more about control, accuracy, and keeping that tension in the tricep throughout. So reasonably lightweight. And you wanna grab the cable from the actual cabana or the top of the actual cable itself. Again, you wanna brace up against the cable stack and you wanna extend down and slow and controlled like this. Really, really working that lateral head of the tricep. Hold and squeeze at the bottom here, slow and controlled. Get the tricep fully lengthened before getting the tricep nice and short. Big squeeze at the bottom there, nice contraction on the tricep. Again, something to note with this movement is you don't want to excessively move the upper arm and use a lot of momentum to get the cable out. You want to keep that upper arm nice and fixed and still, keep it tight. You just want to hinge at that elbow. So the upper arm doesn't want to really move throughout the entire movement. It's just sort of the forearm, hinge at the elbow, slow and controlled. The upper arm doesn't want to be a player in this movement at all. So we're going to go into our main overhead pressing movement for those shoulders. 2 sets on this, just 2 sets, 8 to 10 reps. This is a movement you can build a lot of weight on, okay? You can go very heavy on this movement, but again, take it steady, build into that movement. Don't go and lift crazy heavy weights at the start. Make sure you're building into that. You're getting stronger progressively throughout the week. So setup is very, very important here. A lot of people have the bench bolt upright, 90-degree angle. You don't want to do that because that's just going to put you in a really horrible sort of fixed, rigid position here. It's not going to be great on your shoulders, your joints. So you actually want to take it back a bit, slight incline. You want to be on that slight incline here, and in the positioning of this movement, again, similar to our incline dumbbell press, you don't want the elbows flared outside like this. Tuck them in on that 45-degree angle and press overhead like so. That slight tuck there is going to really protect your shoulders, so make sure you do that. Don't have it bolt upright, don't flare the elbows, and this is gonna be how we're gonna really work those shoulders. 2 sets, 8 to 10 reps. So our final movement of our push workout here, like I said, short, sharp, impactful, don't need to be wasting hours in the gym. We're gonna do skull crushers to finish off the triceps. So flat bench, like so, and again, don't go heavy on this. Far too many people try and lift far too heavy. They ego lift, form goes out the window, they don't really work the muscles they're trying to work, and therefore they don't see progress. But it looks cool in the gym and you're trying to impress people that you probably don't even care about, scrap that. You're focusing on building your body here. So make sure you don't go too heavy, make sure form and accuracy, that's the key player here, and then progress weekly. Then you can increase the weight week by week, but just don't go and try and lift too heavy and ego lift. You won't make any progress. So the reason I prefer skull crushers with dumbbells, again, greater range of motion, the wrists aren't in that kind of fixed position. If you're using like a bar or an easy bar, again, you're stuck, you're in that fixed position, your body has nowhere ready to go. You've got range of motion in the wrists, you've got more range of motion in your elbows and your shoulders, so there's gonna be less risk of injury, but also because of that increased range of motion, we're gonna be able to work the tricep, and it's the long head of the tricep we're working with the skull crushers. The extensions we were doing, or dual rope tricep extensions, or any kind of push down, that's gonna be your lateral head, but the skull crusher is gonna work the long head of the tricep. Okay, so that wraps up our 45-minute push workout. Like I said, really impactful. We're not just going through the motions. We are getting the most bang for our buck out of those sessions, which is what we do with all of the guys that we work with. Lifestyle nutrition is the focus in terms of losing body fat. Don't try and lose body fat in the gym. The gym is for sculpting and building that physique. Your nutrition, your diet is gonna be the key to losing the body fat. The gym to build the muscle, to sculpt that body and physique that you want. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below or DM me on Instagram at Harry Knights Coaching. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Click the link down below as well, as there's a full video just walking you through our metabolic mastery method and how you can implement that today to start seeing serious results in the gym. But I appreciate you watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.